All right, welcome back to Genius. So let's talk about events and event listeners. What are events and what are event listeners? Okay. So, what are events? An event is a signal that something has happened. All right. An event signals us that something has happened. It said the user has clicked a button, the browser window has just loaded, the the input element test has just changed. There are a lot of events. Okay, an event is just a signal that something has happened. So when something happens, we do something when something happens. All right. So that's the whole thing about events and event listeners. So when event happens, we listen to that event and do something with it. Okay, so an event is something that happens in your application that you can respond to. All right, a user clicking a button, a user hovering their mouse on a particular element. There's just a lot of events. So it's something that happens in your application that you can respond to. Okay, so it could be triggered by a user clicking a button. It could be the browser just finished loading a page. All right, it could be that programmatically you're dispatching a custom event. You can create your own custom event and you would want to dispatch it and respond to it whenever it happens. So these are events. Event is just a signal that, oh, something has happened. And when something happens, you have to respond to that thing that has happened. So that's basically what it is. So what are event listeners? So when events happen, we listen to the events. Okay, so we write a function that waits for a specific event to happen on a specific element and then run some code when it does. So an event listener is a function that we write and it waits for a specific event to happen on a specific element. That means these event listeners, we will add them to a specific element and we are waiting for some events to happen on that element. And when that event happens, the function that we have written will run. Okay, so think of it like this. All right, you you are the event listener and you're waiting at the door for someone to knock, which is the event. So someone knocking on the door is an event. You standing at the door waiting, you are the event listener. So once somebody knocks at the door, when they knock, you respond by opening the door. That means you're running your code. All right. So you are the event listener waiting for somebody to knock on the door, and somebody knocking on the door is an event. So once they knock on the door, you respond by opening the door. That is the event and the function that you have written for that event running their code. All right. So what's the syntax like? Okay, first of all, you have to get reference of a particular of the element. All right, you want to add the event listener to. Okay, so first of all, you get the element. It's either you get the element by ID or however you get the element. First of all, you have to get the element. Once you get the element, you will now add event listener. So this is how we add event listener. Once you get the reference of the element, you now say dot add event listener. This add event listener is a function, and first of all, it will take a parameter of the name of the event. Here we are looking at the click event. All right, we are looking at the click event. And after that click event, we are now saying, okay, this is the function that you will run. Okay, so let's go to code. Let me show you. All right, so let's say I have okay, I have this button child. So let me get this button. Okay, so I will get, first of all, I will get this button. I'll say constant, I'll call it btn is equal to document. You have to get reference of the element that you want to add the event to. Get element by ID, and then the ID of this element is child. That's the ID of the button. Then, after doing that, I can now say btn.add event listener. Okay, so that's the function. So the first parameter is what is the event that I want to. You can see all of these things are events. You can see all the events coming out here. These are all events, okay? So that we can listen to. But I want to listen to the click event. So I'm actually waiting for a user to click this button. And when this user clicks this button, which is the click event, I want to write a function. So I can go with an anonymous function like this, okay? All right, so this is what I want to do. So I will run this. So this is the function I want to run. But here I can just say, okay, alert clicked. So this the simple thing I want to do. Whenever user clicks on this button, I want to run this function. And then this function, inside this function, what am I doing? I'm just alerting. So if I save now and go to live, I'll click this button. Oops. Okay, sorry about that. Let me refresh. Let me refresh it. I'll click. Oh, the first one wasn't click. Okay, okay. All right, so I click. All right. So make sure you're clicking at the right place. Okay, so I click. All right. Okay, this one is in a loop. That is why. Wait, let me take it out of that loop. It is in a loop. Yeah, sorry. It should be out of here. Okay. So it was in a loop. So I can just close this guy. Okay, so you are see, I got the element first, then I now said, okay, I'm adding an event listener to it. What is the event listener? What event do I want to listen to? The name of the event is click. And when this event happens, what do I want to do? I'm going to run this function. Okay, so now in this example, the event is click, and the listener is the function that shows the alert. Okay, so the event listener, the function that shows the alert is the event listener. Then it's attached to the button with ID, my button. In my own case, the name was child. And then you can also have event listener apart from the type of the event and the function itself. You can also add other options. So the options can be when you say capture. Don't worry, we are going to explain what we mean by this capture. All right. So you can say capture is true. All right. You can give another option which is once. Once means run this event just once. Okay. So let's go. Don't We're going to talk about capture later on, but we can give options here, and the options comes after. The options is an object. It comes after the function. So I can say here, I can now say, if I say capture, all right, capture is true. I can say once. If I say once is true, all right, what is going to happen is that this event listener will only run once. So if I go back to the browser now, because I have set this once option to be true. If I go back to the code, sorry, if I go back to the browser, all right, if I click this thing 100 times, that event listener would only run once. So look at it. It has run once. Okay. You can see it's no longer running again because what? I set it to be once. I said, okay, I want this event listener to only be called once. So you can see it can't call again. But if I go back to remove the once, if I go back to remove this one, this option, all right, and then if I click it 100 times, it will respond 100 times. Do you understand the difference now? So if you just want the event listener to just run once, you would have to use the once option. You can also say it is passive. When you say passive is true, that means it cannot call prevent default. Don't worry, we'll talk about this prevent default later on. Okay, but prevent default means that if you prevent default, we'll call prevent default on the event object to prevent the browser default. Now, let's say you want to submit a form. Okay, the default behavior of that form is that it will reload the page. It will reload the page. But if you say prevent default, it will not reload the page. The default behavior of an anchor button, an anchor link, an anchor tag is to navigate to another page. But if you call it and you say prevent default, that means that anchor tag will not navigate to the next next page. But now when you say passive, it means that you cannot use prevent default. All right. If you say this event listener is passive, it means that we cannot call prevent default. If you say that the once value is true, it means that this code will only run once. If you say capture it true, it means that this will trigger the capture phase. Don't worry, we'll explain this one more better. So this passive true and not being able to call the prevent default. We'll also talk about what prevent default is later on, okay? All right, so but these are the options, just have them in mind. So let's talk about the event object, okay? When an event occurs, the browser passes an event object to the listener. All right. So look at it. When the event happens, the browser will pass an event object to the listener. So you can actually get this event object. When you call this for when this event happens, the browser will pass this event object to the listener. All right. To the listener. So if I go on and say, I think let me comment this guy. Okay, so if I go on and say, instead of alerting, I want to console.log the event. All right, so this is the event object. It is an object. All right, so you will get it from the browser. The browser will pass it to this function, that's your event listener function. So you will get it inside of this parent as an argument. Okay, so the browser will give it to you so you can work with it. So the event object, all right, is passed by the browser. So look at it. Element.add event listener, the event you're listening is click and the function is event. So you can actually go and if I console this event.type, it will tell us the type of the event is click. That's the name of the event. The target, it will tell us the element. So let's just go and experiment this because I have already console.log the event. Let's go and see what this object looks like. So I will open my console. So I think we have an error. We have an error in my code. Okay, yeah, we have an error in my code. Okay, to function this. Okay, I take it's from here. All right, it's from here. Okay, so all right, the error is gone. So if I click on this button now, you can see this is the event listener. This is the event object. Okay. All right, it has, look at some of the properties that it has. It's trusted, hotkey, bubble, buttons, cancel, bubble. Look at the object that it has. All right. So you can do a whole lot with this object. This object gives a lot of information here. Okay. It gives a lot of information. Okay. So now, you can check for the type of the event. Okay, so if I go back to the browser now, let's check for the event type. Now you can see the type is click. It means that what type of event, the name of this event is click. So the event.type will give you the click with name of the event. Look at the timestamp. All right. Okay, let's take them one by one. Let's take them one by one, okay? So the event object contains properties like type, target, prevent default, stop propagation, key code, especially when the event is a keyboard event. But the thing is this, in the next session, we are going to discuss this event object in details. We'll take some time, discuss it in this detail, and explain every single object and the methods that this event object has. Okay, so now how do you remove an event listener? You have written an event, you have added an event listener to an element. So how do you remove it? For you to be able to remove event listeners, you have to it has to be these are the conditions. First of all, the callback is a named function, not anonymous. I use an anonymous callback function. So if you want to be able to remove the event listener, your callback has to be a named function. So I'm going to correct that now. and then you use the same event type and function. So if you say um, you write this function out, and then you now say button.add event, click and grid. So if I want to remove this event listener, all I have to do is to say remove event listener. Then I'll say what event do I want to remove? I want to remove the click event. And what function do I want to remove? I want to remove the grid function. So if I go back now, okay, I will take this function. I'll take this function and I'll give it a name. I'll give it a name. I can just say the name is listen. Okay. And in here, I'll pass in the name like this. Of course, everything will work fine. Everything will work fine. Everything will work fine. So if I go back to the browser and click the event, of course, everything is working fine. So now if I want to remove this event, because I have given it a named function, after adding it, look at what I can do. I can also do this. I can also say btn dot remove event listener. What event do I want to remove? I want to remove the click event. And what event listener? The event listener is listen. Okay, so now look at it. I have added and have removed. What do you think? Do you think this will work again? No. If I go on and click, it will not work again because I added the event. Okay, I added the event. I added the event listener and I'm removing it even before the click. So if I go on, it will not work. So it is as if that I no longer have the event listener because I added and removed it. So if I click on this, oops. Oh, what happened? It's not supposed to. Okay, so this is supposed to happen. Um, okay, so um, remove event listener, click, listen. It is supposed to. Okay. If I do this after the click event, I want to remove it. So if I click, what is, hmm, is my code wrong? For the fact that I have removed the event listener, it's not supposed to be there anymore. So I don't know what is wrong with my code. So for the fact that I removed the event listener, it's not supposed to be there. Okay. I added here and I removed, so it's not supposed to be there. Okay. If I comment this out. Anyway, this thing doesn't, it didn't work the way I expected, and I wouldn't have enough time to debug it now. But the thing, what I believe here is that for the fact that I added and removed it, it's not supposed to be, it's not supposed to work anymore. Okay, it's not supposed to work anymore. So, but I don't know what is wrong with my code, and it will take me some time to figure it out. I don't know where I have gotten something wrong. Okay, I don't know where I got something wrong. So. For the fact, I added an event here and I removed it. Okay, if I save, go to the browser and click, you see. So it's not even removing it. Something is wrong with my code. Yeah, something is wrong with my code. Okay, so I will figure it out later on and I will relate to you guys. But what I think is this: once I added the event and event listener and removed it, it's not supposed to work. So, but it's okay. We can just continue. We figure it out later on because if I go on to this class is already long, so I don't want to waste so much time debugging the code. Okay, so what is event propagation? Now, the thing is then, um, event propagation describes the order in which event handlers are called when an event happens on an element nested inside another element. So when you have an element nested inside another element and an event happens on that nested element, there is a way the whole event flow occurs. So when we go back to our code, all right, you can see that this button is inside another div, and this div is also inside another div. So there is a way this whole eventing happens. So that is what explains it is what we call event propagation. So there are three phases, all right, of this our event. The first phase is the capturing phase, all right. It happens from the window down to the target. All right, the target is actually the button that you clicked. Remember, the button is inside the div and the div is inside another div. So the main target of this event is the button of which that's what you click. So, but the thing is this event, once you click the button, the event will start from the top down to the target. So that's what we call the capture. We are going to explain this thing better. Please pay attention. The target phase is when the event has hit the element. That means the element that was clicked. Okay, and then bubbling means that bubbling is from the target up the window again. Now let's explain a bit. This is how the event flows. All right. Now we have this structure outer. All right. We have this div. We have another div, and we have this button inside of this div. So this button is nested inside of this div. When you click on this button, all right, the event will start propagating from the top down to the bottom, from the bottom back to the top. Okay, so look at it. If you click the button, the event starts at the top, at the outer div, flows down to the inner, all right, the inner now is the button. So from the outer div to the target element, which is the inner button. So this is called capturing. The phase whereby the event flows from the top down to the target element, which is the button in this case, is called the capturing phase. Now, it will hit the target, which is the inner, the button with the inner, and it will bubble back. It will go back to the top. Then it bubbles back up to the outer. Now, if you understand these things, it's going to help you a lot. So pay close attention. And it's actually confusing. I'll try my best to explain the best way I can. So the event starts at the top, flows down to the inner, goes back, hits the target, and goes back to the outer. Okay, so look at it. What is the capturing phase? When a user interacts with a web page, like clicking a button, the event doesn't just appear at that element. Just like this structure we saw here, we have a button inside a div and a div inside a button. So when the user clicks the button, the event doesn't just appear at that element. First of all, it will start from it actually travels down the DOM tree from the outermost element, which is the window or the document, down to the actual target. So when you click a button, all right, the event will start from the window down to the element that was clicked, and from the element that was clicked to go back again. That one is called bubbling. It will bubble back. So when it's coming from the DOM tree down to the target element, it is called capturing phase. When it hits the target, when it hits the target element, it is called a target phase. And then it bubbles back and goes back to the travel back to the top of the DOM tree. So this downward journey is called a capturing phase. Okay, so let's take a look at capturing in action. Imagine you click a button inside a nested structure. All right, something like this. You can see this button is inside of this div, and this div is inside of another div, and this other div is inside of the body. So when you click, all right, when you click on that button, the event follows this path during the capturing phase. It will start from the window object, down to the document, down to the HTML, down to the body, down to the outer, down to the inner, before it gets to the button that was clicked. So this is the capturing phase. All right. Now, once it hits the target, the element that was clicked, which is the button, it becomes the target phase. But after that, it will bubble back. it will travel back from the button to the inner, to the outer, to the body, to the HTML, to the document, to the window. This one is now called the bubble phase. All right. So how to capture the inner phase? How do you capture the inner phase? First of all, you would have in your event listener, you will have to activate the capturing phase. You have to activate the capturing phase. So you can see it's either you say if add event listener, the name of the event, then the handler, which is the function, and then you just say true. Or you can use the full option here. You say capture is equal to true. All right. So this is so let me show you. Let's go back to our code. Then I'm going to uncomment this. I'll take this guy off. Then I'll uncomment this one. All right. So you can see we have this structure. We have the grandparent, we have the parent, and we have the child, which is the button. So we are actually adding an event listener on this parent. All right. This click event on this parent. So we got the ID of the element, we got the element, and inside of it, we are running this code. So we are doing here, we are saying we have this is an array of the IDs of the element, and we are looping through each of them. This is supposed to, you're supposed to understand what this code is doing here. All right. This is loop for each loop on the array. All right. So as we're looping through each of them, we are getting the ID, and then with the ID, we are using it to get the element. For every loop, we are getting the ID, and with the ID, we are getting the element. So you can see on the element, we are adding the click event. Okay, we are adding the click event, and we are in one of them. All right, we are enabling the capture phase. So for you to enable the capture phase, you add your event listener, the name of the event, this is the handler, all right, and this is true. If you just say true, it means that this true is for the capture. Or you can say, but this is somehow advanced for you, all right? But I believe it will also help you if you know this, all right? You can do more with the DOM manipulation if you know this. So this is capture. All right. So this is capture, this is bubbling, and this one is the click event. So let's take an example of the capturing and the bubble event. So we have this click event, all right, and we are setting the capturing to true. We also have this one for the bubbling, and the bubbling is the default. Whether you do anything about it, it will always bubble back. So the capturing phase will always happen, all right? But you have to indicate that you want to make use of it. But the bubbling phase is by default, it happens. So it travels down from the top to the target element, and from the target element back, it bubbles up. Okay, so um, when you do this, okay, you can actually have, okay, so now let's go and let me show you what I want to show you here. So okay, let me do something here. Okay, so I will just say, ID clicked. So you can see that this event listener, we are adding this first event listener to the parent. So if we click on this div, all right, it would trigger this click event, and this code will run. And inside of this code, we are looping through the IDs of the elements. And then for each of them, we are getting the element, and we are adding event listeners to them. So if I go ahead and run this code, okay, look at what will happen if I click. Okay, sorry, I think I saw Grandparent play, grandparent bubble. It's like I am preventing something. Come on, where is my code? For each of this, we get this. Oh, okay. What is happening? So, grandparents captured, grandparent bubbled, and it stopped. No, it's not supposed to stop. What is wrong with my code today, man? What is wrong? What is wrong with my code today? This is supposed to. Okay, bubbled. Okay, wait a minute. Console log ID create, console log ID bubble. This is supposed to go through. Hmm. Did I stop anything? There's no. The capture event is not even happening, I think. The capture event is not even happening. So something is wrong with my code. What is happening today? Today. Hmm. Okay. Taking me time to debug this code, but let's just do it. Okay. It seems like I'm getting. Okay. Okay. I think I get it. All right. Uh-huh. Okay, now it is it depends on where I actually click this button because the event, okay, the event listener is on the click event is on the div. The click event is on the div, so it's not on the. Okay, let me rewrite this code. Okay, so instead of the parent, let me go for the child. I think it will just get the button for me instead of so it was supposed to bubble all. Okay. Parent click parents out of the child. Okay, this is actually not working the way I expected it, but what I want to show you here is this. You can see the grandparent, let's start from this grandparent capture, parent capture, child clicked, child bubble, parent. You can see everything is going by, but there's a way this thing is supposed to work. It's not working exactly the way I wanted. It's not working the way exactly I wanted. But if I click again, you see the second time it gives me, but that means there is a bug in my code, but I cannot go through that to take a look at it. But look at it. We are capturing here. So the parent, grandparent was captured, parent was captured, child was captured. So it's coming from top to the bottom. Then after that, it gave us the child was clicked. Then child bubble again, parent clicked, parent bubble, parent click. So, anyways, this could be confusing at your stage now, but I don't know. I don't know. This could be confusing for you. But if you try to understand and if you understand it, to grab it. But if you don't understand it, no problem. It's not a big deal in case you don't understand it. Okay, so you might not even be using it right now, but you're supposed to know this. So why should you use capturing? Now, capturing can be useful in specific cases if you want to intercept early. I think this is somehow advanced for you guys. Okay. Anyways, if you would want to learn this, if you want to learn this, all right, just reach out to me. If you don't understand this capturing thing, reach out to me so that I can explain to you better. But I think we should skip it. This is somehow you most it is very obvious that you might not even be writing code of this. So I don't even know why I brought this thing in, but it's okay that you know what we mean by event propagation. Okay. Whenever you click a button or whenever an event happens on an element, understand that the event will start from the topmost down to that element, and then it will bubble back. So when it's coming down from the topmost down to the element, it is called capturing phase. And when it hits the element, it's called the target phase. And when it goes back, bubbles back, it's called the bubbling phase. So in case you want to handle an event before it reaches the target, you can use the capturing phase. All right. You can use the capturing phase and do something. You can also, for security and analytics purposes, you can log user interactions before the app processes them. Okay, you can debug propagation issues, but this is somehow a bit higher than your level now. So let's leave it. Okay. So even the experiment, we just have to leave it too. Okay, so you can also write your own custom events. You can write your own custom event. So how do you do it? First of all, you have to use the new custom event. All right. If you want to write your own custom event, you use the new custom event, give it a name and give it detail. All right. Give it a name and give it detail. This is also optional. So, and after doing that, you can now add it. You can now add it. You can add it to any of the elements. All right. Just like the way you do. Then after doing that, you will have to say document or dispatch event. All right. So you will have to call the dispatch event on it. This is another moreover, this is another advanced thing. So, but just understand that you can create your own custom event. All right. You will use the new custom event object, pass in the name of the event and detail as an object like this. Okay. Then you add it the way you have been adding other event listeners, and then you call it dispatch event. After creating your event, you must call the dispatch event method. All right. You must call it. Okay, so thank you very much. I know this class has been very long, but the one that you don't really understand, please reach out to me so that I can explain more and try to do your test, try to do your assignment. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next session.